Did your IUL agent design your IUL to receive a grade of A or A plus, or just a B plus, which could cost you a lot of money down the road? Or is it a C, D, or a failing grade? Unfortunately, you wouldn't believe how many IUL policies we audit that would get an F, in my opinion, because of what I'm going to share in this episode. So I'm going to share with you 4 criteria that you can use to determine if your IUL is structured correctly and funded properly to perform at its optimal level. So I'm Doug Andrew. I've been a financial strategist and retirement planning specialist now for north of 5 decades, helping thousands of Americans optimize their assets, minimize taxes, and empower their authentic wealth. My favorite financial vehicle, without question, is what I call a property structured max funded indexed universal life, or an IUL. But it must be structured correctly and funded properly. If it is deemed a laser fund, which is the title of this book that I'll be happy to gift you at the end of this episode, okay? So what do I mean by a grade of A+? Let me give you 4 criteria and the common mistakes that I see when we audit IUL policies that are not structured correctly and funded properly, okay? So when you set up an IUL primarily for living benefits, you want the least amount of insurance the IRS will let you get away with under TEFRA and DEFRA tax citations based upon your age, gender, and your health. And then you want to get the money in as fast as the IRS allows under the TAMRA tax citation so that your money will grow totally tax-free. You're using the policy primarily for tax-free accumulation of your money and tax-free income. You are self-insuring as you get into the policy 10 to 15 years, which means your cash value will grow to equal and exceed the original minimum death benefit required by the IRS by the 10th or 15th year. Did you hear that? Now, I see a lot of policies, and in the illustrations, or maybe people have owned these policies already for 10 or 15 years, and the cash value doesn't even equal the premiums they paid in by the 20th year. And I'm going, who set this up for you? What was the purpose? Your cash value should grow to equal and exceed the premiums you paid in by the 5th year. Your cash value should grow to equal and exceed the death benefit by the 10th, 12th, 15th year in the policy. So here's the 4 criteria I use to determine if your IUL policy is a flunking grade, a fail, versus what a B plus or an A plus grade would be, okay? The first criteria I like to use is if your IUL policy, by the 5th year. Now, by the 5th year, you should have maximum funded the policy under the IRS tax citations, TAMRA, the Technical and Miscellaneous Revenue Act, so that your money will grow tax-free and you can access the money tax-free. By the 5th year, if it's structured correctly, your cash value, okay, should be generating enough annual income on the average, earnings, okay, interest that's being credited with indices by being linked to different indexes, that the annual earnings by the 5th year should cover all of the costs and fees, the life insurance costs and all the fees in the policy, okay? If it is not doing that, or if it's a far cry from doing that, you better get it audited and straighten it out, or else take out a new one. Okay, here's another one. Second way to measure. If your IUL policy cash values are not projected or have not, if you have one for 5 years, if the cash values aren't equal to at least the premiums you paid in by the 5th, 6th, 7th year, something's wrong, okay? Your cash value, unless you started your policy at the beginning of 2 or 3 down years in the market, like the year 2000 to 2003, and you didn't have anybody that knew how to rebalance your policy, your cash value should equal and exceed the premiums that you've paid in by the 5th year. Again, I've seen many policies, the cash value doesn't even equal the total premiums paid in 20 years. Okay, that should happen by about the 5th year on the average. Here's the third criteria. If the cash value does not equal or exceed the original death benefit required under TEFRA and DEFRA in the policy. Okay, so for example, if you're a 60-year-old and you put in $100,000 a year for 5 years, $500,000, that $500,000 in the policy should grow to equal and exceed the minimum death benefit. A 60-year-old, the minimum death benefit would be about $1 million. That $500,000, if it took you 4 years to get the money in there under TAMRA, that $500,000 should have grown to equal the death benefit and even force the death benefit up within 10 years, 11 years, for sure by the 15th year. So if the cash value is not projected or has not grown to equal and then exceed the original death benefit by the 10th to the 15th year, your policy would only get a grade of C, D, or E. Let me show you the difference between maybe a B plus policy and an A plus policy. This is what I call the fourth criteria. So look at the illustration or look at your policy if you've had it for several years. And if you have a property structured max funded IUL, by the 20th year, definitely by the 30th year of the policy, if you calculate the internal rate of return, and if you don't know how to do that, contact us. The internal rate of return, cash on cash, retroactive back to day one on that policy. That means in order to end up with the amount of cash value you have in that policy in the 20th year, 25th year, maybe at the longest 30th year, what kind of a rate of return would you have to be getting on the premiums you paid into that in order to achieve that? If that's not within 1% of the gross rate of return that you were credited, something's wrong, okay? So for example, on many IUL policies, by diversifying and rebalancing, we've averaged 11.17. So your internal rate of return should be 10.2 or higher. Many IUL policies, by the 15th or 20th year, if your average return was 9, your net internal rate of return is 8.5. If it's 8, it's 7.5. It's within 0.5% of the gross rate of return. So if you understand what I'm saying, if your average gross crediting rate was, X, or let's say 9, your net internal rate of return, cash on cash, would have been about 8 or 8.5. If it's not, if you were credited an average of 9 and you're only netting 6, that's what most whole life policies would do. If they credited you 8, you're only netting 6, but you have to wait till age 95 to achieve that. It's gobbling up way too much of your rate of return. So that's the fourth telltale sign. So after looking at these 4 telltale signs, if your IUL policy is not structured correctly or being funded properly, you may want to get it audited. So reach out to us on this channel. The first thing you ought to do is understand why it's not structured correctly by studying my book, The Laser Fund. You can click on the link below or go to laserfund.com and you can claim your free copy of my 300-page book. I do require a little skin in the game. You can buy it on Amazon for $20 up to $60. And if you do that, thank you. But I'll gift you a copy for free if you will cover some of the shipping and handling. So you contribute towards the shipping and handling. I'll cover the rest of that. And I will pay for the book. I'll fire out a hard copy of this to you via priority mail. And it's actually 2 books in one. This side is all the charts and graphs and explanations if you're a left brain learner. If you're a right brain learner, you learn more by stories. You just flip it over to this one. Okay. If you want to use your whole brain, you can use your right brain and your left brain. Okay. Now, while you're in there claiming your free copy, if you like to listen and learn or watch and learn, there's those formats available for your investment. But you can also schedule an appointment to talk to a certified IUL professional that will show you how a properly structured max funded IUL will work in your particular set of circumstances to achieve all 4 of those results that I talked about here in this episode. So here's to you and your brighter future.